Welcome, listeners, to yet another episode of the podcast, The Emotional People. You have been listening to me sharing inputs, knowledge, and information on brain and various aspects of emotions and other things. We recently had a guest, Nidhi, who also spoke about mental health and various things about mental health. Starting today, we are having another guest, a person who is a lot of abundant knowledge with NLP. His name is Meghnathan. He is a certified master NLP practitioner from the Global NLP Training Center. There are just few people around the world who get certified in NLP from this big academic institution. In addition, he has also practiced and shared his knowledge on NLP to a wide amount of people. And it's a privilege to have him in this series starting today. Meghnathan will be with us from today for a couple of episodes wherein he is going to share with us everything about NLP, starting from what is NLP, what are the advantages of NLP, how can one implement it in life and take all the benefits out of it. And I'm sure this is going to help our listeners in a great way. So let's kick it off. Hello Meghnathan, welcome to the show. And before I even get started with what is NLP, I just would like to hear from you a little bit about how did your journey of NLP started, and then we can go ahead. Welcome.
Hi, thank you Mani for having me into your program and that to my favorite program of NLP. I'm very honored to be in your thing. So let me tell you how I heard about this NLP. First time I heard this NLP word from one of my colleague long back, and then I asked him what it is exactly does. So he told me that it is something you can train your brain through which you can explore what you are good at it and which can take you to the dream life. So that is what the curiosity created in me. Then I started looking for more about related to that NLP, like such books, and I went through a couple of books and I could not get in detail. Then I was looking for some training, and that is where I ended up looking for this global NLP training, and then I've got all this kind of wonderful rather saying wonderful, it's a powerful methodology, and it's not only like a tools or methodology. It's like it changes the way you think and your attitude approaching towards the problems and possibilities, rather thinking negativities or impossibilities. You approach like there is a possibility. See, the thought process will change. That is what exactly it changes in NLP.
Great to hear that, Meghnathan. So looks like that is what interested you, right? You heard from your friend and you wanted to explore more about what this actually NLP is about, and you went ahead to the best of the institute in the world and you got certified, you completed and you got certified as a master NLP practitioner. Great. Your journey seems to be awesome and interesting. I mean, I know many of the listeners would know this, but just to reiterate, NLP, what we could say in simple terms, the full form, and then some basic about if you have to touch.
Okay. I would tell what is NLP in lazy man language. See, we are living in a computer era, so I will just try to explain in that term. It's like your brain is like a computer hardware, and your thoughts and actions are like a software. Okay, which would make it possible to change your own mental programs. For example, see, you have a hardware, it's like our brain, and the software is invisible thoughts, like the software which does all your functions, whatever you want to achieve through your computer. The same way, our human brain is a hardware. When you utilize it wisely, you can achieve like how nowadays all the software kinds you can everywhere, like it is solving all your problems and it is developing things. The same way you can train your brain and you can explore your potential to the extent.
So in simple terms, Meghnadhan, you have defined neuro-linguistic programming in this manner relating to hardware and software. I leave it to the listeners to understand. It was simple. I got it since I knew the concept, the hardware and the software terms, and I'm sure the listeners also got the context of what is neuro-linguistic programming in the complete essence, right? Do you want to add anything more a bit, like they normally define, right? Neuro, means what? Linguistic meaning what? Anything on that context?
Yeah. See, like, see, all our human behavior and communications are subject to certain patterns, certain way we understand, certain way we talk, right? For example, there are two principles. Let me explain you to understand. See, one of the basic principles of this NLP is the order of sequence of experience. For example, in the language, when the sentence you put the words, right, it makes it meaning. If you if you don't put the words in order, it will not make any meaning, right?
Correct.
The same way, if you put your thought process into sequence way, you can have the experience which you want to. See, for example, everybody wants to have a happy life, correct?
Correct.
But not everybody is having or experiencing the happy life. So that is where I was looking for it. So everybody wants to happy, but it is not happening. So that means our thought process is not happening in certain order or certain sequence, correct? The same way, like the words are not in place in the sentence, you cannot make meaning, right? So this is what exactly going to happen in the NLP. All your thought process, you are making it aware and controlling over it, and then making it in a sequence way. So that is way you are going to experience. That is the first fundamental principle of this NLP. And the second one is, for example, the words are only adequate labels for experiences. For example, if I tell you that, okay, Mani, sugar is very sweet. If you eat the sugar, it gives an instant energy. Let's say, like, you don't know about sugar, okay? I'm trying to explain about sugar is very sweet, and if you eat it instantly, you will feel energy and all those things. See, the words, you can hear it as a information, but it will not give you the exact experience, like how it feels, how it tastes, right? Unless you feel it, unless you experience it, correct?
Right.
Like this is what the NLP is going to. When you, whatever I teach you, whatever you learn, you are going to train your own brain, and that gives you an experience. That is what the NLP is about. It is not like just a word or something. So everybody's, even if the same technique taught by many people, so everyone will have a different experience because the way they use it in the certain order and sequences. So these are the two fundamental principles of NLP. And let me little brief in the stands from the name, the NLP. Within that letter itself, it has a whole meaning. For example, N means a present for neuro, because our whole body is connected. Let's say our body is like a brain instructed body, correct? Like from the brain, all our 50 to 60 trillions of cells and many organs are connected with this nerve system, and our brain controls over it, meaning it operates everything. So this invisible thought process and our visible psychological reactions to interprets into ideas and events. That is what the neuro is about. That means your thought process, whatever you think, it becomes an actions through your senses and all your external body expressions. Okay. The L means linguistic. It means that, see, we are talking, I'm trying to explain something, right? So I'm putting in certain way the words to communicate to you and communicate to others. That is how we put whatever I'm thinking, how I'm putting into words and communicating to others. That is called the linguistic.
Okay.
Third is the P for programming, meaning the way we choose our organized ideas and actions to produce the results. So whatever I'm thinking or ideas, I need to put in certain way and execute it so that I will get the result which I want. Like, for example, I want to be happy, that I have to put my idea in certain things in action that creates. So this is what all about NLP represents for.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Meghnathan. I think this is a very fair understanding, the way in which you initially explained about hardware and software, and then now when people knew about what is this programming that we are talking about, programming of the mind and the brain. Awesome. I think this is going to be an interesting conversation because we have just begun. And for the listeners, this is just the start by knowing what is NLP. In the coming episodes, we will hear a lot from Meghnathan. We are going to talk about what are the advantages of NLP, how do you practice NLP, and we will also try practicing few techniques of NLP through which we can see where and how things really work in this front. So with that, I want to conclude this episode. Thank you very much for joining us today, Meghnathan, and we'll continue this series, and every week on Wednesday, we will be talking more in depth about this NLP and hear a lot from you, gain insights from you, and give me as well as our listeners a lot of knowledge about NLP. Thank you for today.
Thank you.